I've taken up the challenge of completing all the games in the Japanese catalog of the Sega Saturn. Although my Japanese language skills are rusty, I am determined to painfully translate my way through each game to achieve my goal. So come along with me on this adventure. Game number 3, Side Pocket 2, Densetsu no Hustler, or The Legendary Hustler, also known as Minnesota Fats Pool Legend in the US. Developed by Data East, released in March 1995 in Japan and September 1995 in the US. It wasn't released in Europe. This is a video game version of Pocket Billiards designed for the Sega Genesis and Sega Saturn consoles. It highlights the legendary billiards player Rudolph Minnesota Fats Ronderon and serves as a continuation to Data East's prior release, Side Pocket. The game's primary goal is to traverse through various cities and compete against computer-controlled hustlers. This version of the game contains full-motion videos as it was popular at the time and probably cheap. While writing this script, I discovered that apart from Minnesota Fats, the actors were actually part of the marketing department of the studio. The game starts with a documentary on Minnesota Fats. I don't know anything about pool and I had no idea who he was. This is the video that would play out if it was on display at the video game shop. It doesn't show any gameplay, and that should be a warning. On the game menu, we are greeted by Minnesota Fats, who asks us what we want to do. We can choose between story, which is the main event of the game, tournament, versus, if you are lucky enough to have a friend wanting to play this, trick game, which gives you some challenges to practice trick shots, training, and jukebox. This is my first time, so I have a go at training to get a feel for the game. Here you don't even play against yourself. This is like a sandbox pool table where you can try pocketing all the balls. You choose where you want to place the cue ball, where you want to shoot, and how much power you want to give it. You can also give some effect to the cue ball if you want to, but I'm a novice so I rarely used that. In training mode we are playing as this lady with long hair. We don't know who she is and we won't meet her again. I'm a bit worried that I can't predict where the balls are going. I have played pool in real life so I'm not a complete novice, but the controls feel a bit clunky. Anyway, time to tackle the pièce de résistance of this game, the story mode. Here we play as Minnesota Fats, which was just a random old man to me at this stage. It was probably the same for kids in the 90s. The story starts with Fats meeting his friends Fred and Junior. The most perceptive of you will probably notice that this is dubbed.
Juniorよ、お前に来てもらったのは他でもない。
I believe the gist of it is that Fats is not happy about a pretentious hustler called Big G. Fats played him in the past and got all his money, but he has now showed up again, and Fats wants to send Junior to teach him a lesson. Junior accepts. 10 days later, Fats learned that Junior joined forces with Big G and he wants to stop him. The problem is Fats doesn't quite have enough money to bet on a game with Big G or Junior, so he has to start from the bottom. We go to Los Angeles at the back of a bar or something, and an armed guy lets us in once he recognized us. We meet Tina, who teases us for being after Big G. Here we both have $400,000 in our pockets, and we are betting $400,000. The aim is to get the opponent to give you all their money. In this case, it basically means you have to win one game against her. Tina is easy to beat as she will make mistakes on purpose. She'll even refrain from pocketing the 8-ball to let you win. I'm so bad that I actually lost that first game. She doesn't fail to tell us we are a waste of our time. We have 3 credits to continue when we lose all our money. This screen confuses me. I'm never sure if the selection is the orange or white color. After winning against Tina, we are sent to someone called Diamond in Las Vegas. He is looking forward to putting on his CV that he's beaten Minnesota Fats. We have $800K in our pocket. Diamond has got 1.2 million, and we are still betting $400K per game, meaning at this stage I have to win 3 games in a row to beat him. I also have some margin if I lose a game, but that would mean I'll have to win the money back. It takes a while, but we finally strip him from all his money, bringing our bankroll to $2 million. Diamond tells us Big G has a club in New York, so that's where we're headed next. We finally meet Big G, who is tastefully surrounded by 2 ladies. Of course, he's still an arrogant piece of and he wants to teach us a lesson. With 2 million in our pocket, we are now betting 1 million per game. Big G has got 3 million, which means we are technically in the same situation as before. We need to win 3 games in a row to strip him of all his money. This opponent is significantly harder than the previous 2. The AI is clearly cheating by using the physics engine to calculate the outcome, which is not fun as a human player. This is where the game becomes really painful. I tried the story mode several times in 3 different sessions. I eventually beat Big G after 4 hours in total. He asks us to join him, but we refuse. He points a gun at us and we use a pool cue to disarm him, because that's how good we are at pool. We get him to spill out that Junior is in Atlantic City, and that's where we're headed next. We are now going to play against Junior, who was our friend, but he is now the villain of this game. With 5 mil each in our pockets, we are betting 2.5 mil. At this stage, I am still playing approximately, and this opponent pulls some insane tricks. I still had 3 continues on this session, and I lost them all. In my 3rd session, I really tried to beat this game. Junior was actually the last opponent to beat, so I was really close. After over 7 hours, I got really frustrated and I tried using an emulator. I even replaced the Sega Saturn logo with the Y from Yabause. I started using save states and I thought I was going to annihilate these It all started well, although the emulator would hang at the end of the game. The game is so obscure that no one has tried to make it work with this emulator yet. Oh well, time to come up with a new rule for this challenge. If I can't beat a game and I judge that it's repetitive and it has an unfair advantage, then I will mark it as unbeaten and move on. I won't try using an emulator again, I promise. I might revisit those games later on, hopefully there won't be many more like this. After 7 hours, I can't say that I really enjoyed myself. The story didn't have any thought put into it, and the gameplay is very frustrating. I learned when writing this script that this game was also released on the Sega Genesis in the same year, and that makes a lot of sense. It looks like it was just a port from the Genesis to the Saturn in order to maximize revenue. From a Japanese learning perspective, this is obviously not a good choice. The dialogues have no subtitles to follow, and there isn't much to read. I give this game a 3.3 out of 10, and I'm hoping the sequel, Side Pocket 3, will be a step up from this version. If you're still here, thank you so much for watching, and here is a preview of what's coming next. That thing. Yeah, we can see this here. So here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so we are playing Sotsugyo S Graduation. Well, Sotsugyo means graduation, so that's weird. So what sort of game is that? Oh, the description I've got here is in Spanish. Oh no, Italian, so I don't even understand. So yeah.